So this is it. The work has been completed, the races have been run, and the pressure has been turned up yet another notch. The Ferrari Esports Series qualification phase is now complete, and with barely a pause for breath, we are ready to reset, restart, and get right back into the saddle once again. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Ferrari Esports Series Championship begins tonight. And we're so excited about it. We've actually spent the last few weeks whittling down our e-sport racing hopefuls via a series of knockout qualification races. And now with the qualification events behind us, well, we've basically got the very highest performing virtual motorsport talents ready to do battle over the course of a 4-round season. They're going to be races for both Group A and Group B drivers as they all bid to secure a place in the grand final. Now this is pressure, this is competitive e-sport racing at the highest level, and we can't wait to get started. But before we run down everything you need to know ahead of the action this evening at the Nurburgring, we'd like to offer you our very warmest welcome to the broadcast tonight. Welcome back if you've been with us on this journey, and hello for the first time if you are new. My name is Nikki Shields, I'm a motorsport and esports presenter, and it gives me great pleasure to say that alongside me, you might not recognise him though because he is without a beard, is our very own northern commentator extraordinaire. It is, of course, Mr. Paul Jeffrey. You right, Paul?
Hello, Nikki. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show tonight. This is the first round of the Ferrari Esports Series main championship. And of course, it is going to be a double-header race as opposed to the usual knockout rounds that we've seen so far in the series. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see how our two groups of drivers contend with a 4-round championship and scoring and maximising point score from those races. I'm absolutely fascinated to see the difference in approach from these 48 qualified drivers. Before we move to the track itself, let's take a few moments to have a look at what the Ferrari Esports Series Championship will entail over the course of the next few months, as we are just a few moments away from hitting the track for the first race of the new championship season. 48 drivers qualify for the 4-round main Ferrari Esports Series beginning on August 31st and ending on the 30th of November, taking in 4 iconic European racetracks and 4 beautiful Ferrari models in Assetto Corsa. The drivers will have to score points and the top 24 will go to the final 3-round dash on December the 14th. Imola, Barcelona and Mugello will make up these finals with a car yet to be announced, and the grand final winner will be crowned very end.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that brief overview of what to expect from the coming race events. But now it is time to have a look at the drivers who are going to form the field for the new season that lies ahead. Now, as you know, over the course of the last few months, we've held 4 knockout qualification races. Pretty intense, because in those events, we've seen some truly incredible performances from our drivers. We've seen runaway race winners to heart-in-mouth last lap overtakes. Really, the qualification rounds have had it all. But sadly, we can only take forward 12 drivers from each qualification race. So, without further delay, let's look in to see who has made it into the final 48 this year.
Group A will be the first race of the day in the Ferrari Esports Series, and 24 of the 48 drivers will be taken to the grid. Scotland's Josh Martin in the number 11 will be alongside fellow Englishman Isaac Price in the number 1 machine. We've got such names as Kamil Pawlowski, a mainstay of the Ferrari Esports Series. Danilo Santoro struggled to get through the qualification rounds, will be looking to make a big impact here in this opening Group A category. Alongside this, we'll be running 2 races this season, and our Group B drivers, the final 24 of the main championship, are made up of some incredible talents. Runaway race winner in qualification Arnaud Lecombe in the number 13 is very much a driver to look out for. Michael Tanitsa in the number 6, brother of Ferrari driver academies David Tanitsa, another driver expecting to make a splash over the course of the 4-round season.
What a brilliant list of driver names, and huge congratulations to everyone for making it to this stage. But that doesn't actually include everyone, because for this new season, we have 2 wildcard drivers from Thrustmaster to welcome today. Timea and Lyubov, 2 outstanding female drivers. And well, we really can't wait to see how they get on once the racing begins. So good luck to both of them. Also, in further good news, this competition isn't just about the driving talent on display. Oh no, if you remember, we also have had some amazing engagement from our followers in the new for 2021 livery design contest. Now, what we did was we tasked our fans to come up with some really unique livery ideas that we wanted to use during the season, and the submissions have been absolutely incredible, breathtaking, so thank you for those. We've had so much artwork submitted from all around the world, and quite honestly, having to pick 3 winners has been a very incredibly difficult job for our judges, but they did it. Winners have been picked, and actually these are those designs in all their artistic glory. You can see them here featured on the 488 Challenge Evo, the 488 GT3 Evo, and the 599XX. And wow, don't they look incredible? Huge congratulations to our 3 livery winners. Absolutely outstanding stuff there. Some really eye-catching designs. They are going to look absolutely fantastic on the circuit a little bit later on. Speaking of which, I suppose now would be a good time to talk about the track for our opening race of the series. We're so excited about this one. The fabled Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit is going to be our battleground this evening, and as one of the premier race circuits in Germany, it's not going to disappoint. Of course, it sometimes hosts the Formula One, and well, the Nürburgring is just on everyone's bucket list, isn't it? It's such a special place to go racing, and it's a layout that often lends itself to really close and fraught action on the track, also with plenty of passing opportunities. There's also a variety of corners to challenge the drivers and their cars, so it's really got a little bit of everything. Now, there are a few places where an experienced driver can really make the difference to this track. So let's hand over to Ferrari Driver Academy star and former Formula One Esports World Champion, David Tanitsa, to tell you all about how to maximise your lap at the Nürburgring.
Welcome to the Ferrari 101 track tutorial in Nürburgring, Germany.
Hi, I'm David Tonizza. Flying down to turn 1 here at the iconic Nürburgring, reaching speeds of 250 km per hour before hitting the brakes at the 150 meter board and down to second gear. Get to the apex early as the track falls away, causing understeer. Bring the car to the right and aim for a late apex to prepare the entry of turn 3. There is no reference here. Brake when it feels natural. Down into second gear and commit to use loads of curbing. Turn 3 becomes turn 4 instantly. Exit turn 3 in the middle of the track and again commit to loads of curb. The car is balanced, so it can handle the curb easily. Use all the road on the exit. Speeding back up to 200 km per hour. Use the tarmac strip on the right as a marker and aim for an early apex as the camber of the turn will give extra grip. On the exit, get to the left. Again, lots of camber, turn in really early and use the extra grip. Use all the exit curve to gain speed. Turn 7 is iconic. Aim to brake in a straight line and aim to do a V shape in the corner to carry lots of speed and lots of speed out. Brake as the curve on the left starts. Down to second gear. Halfway into the apex, get hard on the power and use all the exit gear to gain speed. The famous Schumacher S. turning it at 180 kilometers per hour. Avoid the inside curb, but use the exit curb to gain more speed. The car is completely on the limit here. Open the brake zone on entry by using the AstroTurf and brake just before you reach it. The rear can become loose, so really be careful. Turn into third gear using both the inside and exit curb. Bring the car back to the left, keeping the car in third gear, aiming for a late apex to carry amazing speed into the back straight. Ease easily flat out and use it to prepare the next turn. You need full commitment here. Braking at 100 meter board down into third gear. Take as much curb as possible without hitting the tall curbing. It's really critical to keep the speed really high. On the exit, use all the curb. Brake on the curb to open up the final turn and aim to stay tight to the apex, then hard on the power for the run to the line.
What a track, and thank you to David there for a really informative look at this great circuit, some brilliant insights there. And actually don't forget, because these Ferrari 101 tutorials are all readily available to watch on the Ferrari YouTube channel. So please do make sure you head over and check them out if you want to watch them back, see if you can pick up any little hints and tricks and tips from the FDA team. They really do make for some very useful and informative viewing. So I definitely recommend giving them all a watch. I think I need to, that's for sure. And see if you can pick up some useful tips for your own performances out on track. Now, of course, David is just one of the members from the wider Ferrari Esports team. So now it's time to hand over to our very own Paul Jeffrey to have a quick catch up with the FDA drivers to find out what they've been up to during the last few months.
Thank you very much, Nikki. And now it's the time of the show where I introduce three very special guests. We're joined earlier this week by Ferrari Driver Academy stars David Tinitza, Brendan Lee and Giovanni Di Salvo, where we spoke a little bit about the world of eSport racing, what it means to drive for Ferrari, and some of the things that our eSport stars have to contend with in order to make it in this industry. So I'm going to throw back to some footage that we recorded earlier in the week as we get to know a little bit more about the Ferrari Driver Academy team. So here we are with the Ferrari Driver Academy team, Brendan Lee, David Tinitza and Giovanni Di Salvo. Guys, thanks for joining us today, and hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having us. It's going to be a great time.
Ciao Paul, yeah, everything fine.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, guys.
Ciao guys, great to be with you. And now, the Ferrari Driver Academy team have been very busy in recent weeks and months. Can you give us a little idea of the kind of things that you've been up to out on the track?
Yeah, for this off-season, we've been racing on ACC for the SRO Esports, both Endurance and Sprint Series, and I think we're doing a pretty good job, actually. We're leading the Endurance Series, and also with the driver standings and leading the Sprint Series, so I hope we will carry on this mood also for the future competitions.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see Ferrari competing in there. And Brendan, a question to you. Obviously, you're quite new to the Ferrari Driver Academy team, and you're representing the team in the F1 Esports Championship. What does it feel like to represent a brand like Ferrari on the world stage?
Well, representing Ferrari on the world stage is a very special feeling. You feel it as soon as you join the team. I'm wearing the badge with me today, and you feel it every day you wake up, you go to bed, and you have to pinch yourself that you're a Ferrari driver. Of course, we've been able to win 2 world championships before, and my dream and ambition is to become a 3-time world champion and bring the first Constructors' Championship to Ferrari this year.
Fantastic, a great ambition indeed. And David, another question for you. On Tuesday night, when the Ferrari Esports Series opening championship round takes place, we're going to see your brother on track. Have you shared any hints and tips and experiences with him for this race ahead?
Yeah, of course, I think I've shared a lot of secrets and tips to my brothers already, but you know, he's a warrior, he wants to achieve everything on his own, and he wants to taste everything on his skin. So surely he's going to do his best, and let's see, I'm going to be cheering for him, of course.
Fantastic stuff, looking forward to see how he gets on. And Giovanni, about the Ferrari Esports Series, you're of course the reigning champion in this championship. So it'll be fascinating for you to see this next cohort of drivers. And how have your first few months at Ferrari been in the famous Maranello team?
Oh, it's been a really great experience till now. I at once felt really good with my teammates. They are very nice people and also super fast drivers. But what I love the most of this team is the passion all the people put inside this project, and it pushed me a lot to work harder and better every day.
Fantastic. Now, David, I'm not going to ask you how Giovanni's getting on, but I will ask you that this next cohort of drivers that we're watching, they're fighting for the chance to join yourself and Brendan and Giovanni at FDA. What sort of things are you looking? What attributes are you looking for from the drivers as a potential future teammate?
I'd say that I'm really looking forward to have a person that is really fast on track, of course, but who loves to do the teamwork, because we don't want a driver that wants to win just for himself. We want a driver that collaborate in the team and cooperate. So that's what I'm looking forward mostly.
Fantastic. It will be fascinating to see how they get on. And finally, I'm going to end with a question for Brendan. You are a relatively new recruit to Ferrari, as we say. Could you share with our audience what it will mean to these drivers should they be successful in finding a place at the Ferrari Driver Academy? What is the passion of driving for Ferrari like?
The passion of joining Ferrari is life-changing, to be honest. And I underestimated it before joining, and now once I joined, it really was a shock to me about how much passion there's love. You're not just joining a team, you're joining a family, and when you walk around Maranello, you're with the crew. You're not just a teammate, you're really in part of the family. It's a super special feeling, and it will live with you for your whole life.
That is a fantastic answer. And gentlemen, that wraps up our brief interview today. So to Brendan Lee, to David Tinitza and to Giovanni Di Salvo, the Ferrari Driver Academy Esports team, thank you very much for joining us today.
Grazie, ciao.
Ciao, ciao, Paul. Thank you.
Grazie, ciao Paul.
Fantastic stuff. Always a pleasure to talk to the Ferrari Driver Academy team. And now I am hearing in my ear that qualification is complete and we are about to go racing. So without further ado, let the first race of the Ferrari Esports Series 2021 Main Championship commence. Let's go to the track. 15 corners, 5.148 kilometres make up the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. And alongside me for this opening race of the day is my good friend, Mr. Brendan Lee. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, even better now that you called me your good friend, but I'm super excited for this. This is really when the intensity starts to pick up, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's a 4-round championship. This is the opening round of the season. This is the Group A team. So everybody at home, if you missed the introductions, do stay tuned because there will be another race following this one for our Group B drivers. And immediately, Brendan, we've had a very tight qualification session. We'll see the times in a few moments. And here are those times. So starting from pole position is Isaac Price alongside Campbell Pavlovsky. Danilo Santoro and Nico Pantola make up row 2 with Luca Vanoli and Umberto Principi row 3. Wojciech Lukasek and Angelo Colavito, Tabanari and Alfonso Lorca alongside Ruben Garcia and Bastian Marte. 13th and 14th, Adrian Knott and Josh Martin. Daniele Pizzardi and Kamil Filipek is Gianluca Maggione and Luca Gravanio. Andrea Ottomane, Mirko Pompili, Yuval Sharon and Vincent Bael. Then 23rd and 24th, Noah Rodriguez and Tony Bierground. Tamia Bensick not making the start of the race. And Brendan, qualification's been tight. The race is going to be even tighter.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we have to remember these are the best of the qualifiers, aren't they? We've had all the knockout races, and now this is when it's going to get nitty and gritty, and it's going to be close racing.
Yeah, exactly that. As we say, this is a championship round, so points will be scored. 25 for first place, 18 for second, 15 for third, and so on and so forth. But that is something to worry about in a few minutes' time, because now The cars are on the grid. The lights are about to go on one by one, and we will be starting the first race of Group A of the Ferrari Esports Series Championship. Here we go now. The lights are ablaze. They will be extinguished, and we will be go, go, go for the start of the season. A good start from the entirety of the field. A whole bunch of Ferrari 488 challenge cars heading down into T1. Isaac Price heavily on the defensive to the inside. On the outside, Kamil Pawlowski trying to find a way past in the yellow accent liveried Ferrari there. Goes for the cutback. Can he find room on the outside into round two? No, he cannot. That is Isaac Price. Number one on the car. Number one in the race is our early race leader, Nicola Pantola there. Third position, Luca Vanoli trying to find himself a little bit of room around the outside as well. That will become the insides of Vanoli's in the pound seats, but no, not quite enough of an overlap in that number 7 car to dislodge Santoro in fourth position. A very clean start, I must say, from all our drivers in the opening few corners, Brendan Lee.
It's been a really good start as well. You can see the class of the field really coming through. Super aggressive, but super tidy and clean so far. But I reckon there's going to be a lot more action to come.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't win the race on the first lap, but you can most certainly lose it. And Luca Vanola is very aware of that one. Now as he glues his car to the back of Danilo Santoro, Vanola smells fourth position. He fancies fourth position as Umberto Principe now we're seeing round the outside. This is a dangerous spot. You don't want to be hung out to dry there. He thinks better of it as well. So Principe now actually is the 44, my apologies. It's Loca behind trying to find a way past. And now to the inside. Not quite enough room there for the red accents on the Ferrari to get away past Principe in 8th position. And this is it's a very old school circuit, despite only really coming on song in 1984. And it's difficult but not impossible to pass. As Brendan, take us through this here.
Through the final chicane into the final corner. So right here, you're just trying to line up, get an amazing exit here. You can see squaring off. We cut off the replay earlier, but I'm actually back onto the replay now. Going to get a long run onto the pitch straight, and now you're tucked right underneath that slipstream, and you're looking down to turn 1. Do you pop out and make a dive up the inside? It's possible here because the track kinks to the right-hand side, so you can slot up the inside. Will he go for it? Yes, he will. Deep on the brakes, you need to commit, block off the apex, take the apex, get early on the power, and run your opponent out to dry. But he's going side by side, actually, up to turn 2. But I think we're actually now looking at the race leaders, aren't we?
Beautiful job there, Mr. Brendan Lee, giving us some insight into the battle for first and second and third and fourth. Got a little bit confusing with which battle we were looking at, but the upshot is Kamil Pawlowski fails to make it past Isaac Price, and Nicola Pantola still stays in fourth position. Luca Vanola, that we're looking at now, had a good run, but not enough to find a way past. So we can see how close the field is all the way through, down into 10th position, which is Bastian Marte, the last of the point scorers. Unlike the the qualification races, these drivers will remain throughout the course of the championship, but only score points down into 10th position. So there's plenty left to play for, and Vanoli now 5th position, starting to come under a bit of pressure from Lukasek behind.
Sure now, and like before it was sort of win it or bin it approach, but this is anything but win it or bin it. You need to be consistent, pick up the championship points. Top 12 will go to the grand finale. You need to make sure you're scoring points every round to guarantee that.
Yeah, exactly right, but at the same time it's only a 4-round championship, so you've got to score points, but you need to score big points, because the likes Isaac Price, Kamil Pawlowski, Danilo Santoro, Nicola Pantola et al. Will not be having bad days in this championship. They will be at the pointy end all of the way through, and Vanoli now very much starting to lose ground on the back of fourth place Pantola ahead. So Vanoli needs to, as I say that one actually, comes all the way back onto Pantola, shows his nose down the inside of the final corner, not enough room, but that pushes Pantola a little bit wide as it gives him racing space, gets plenty of curb on exit as well. This is the best opportunity for Vanoli now to find his way past. Everybody goes to the inside, hugs the pit wall. There's nobody hanging over with barriers, otherwise they will get back in very, very quickly. Indeed, now goes to the outside as well. Vanoli gets his way past, a little bit of contact. Pantola has a punt, but both cars manages to face the right direction still, and Lukasek sees an open door, walks through it and finds himself a happy time. Lukasek into fourth position. Vanoli stays in 5th position, and Puntola drops down into 7th, and that is Luca Vanoli. Virtual reality headset and everything on. Has a very exciting few moments and a couple of corners there, Brendan. What happened?
Yeah, he sort of stuck it down the inside and 2 into 1 doesn't go, and that apex is super tight. Actually drops away by a few meters at the apex as well, so you get a bit of natural understeer, and 2 cars try to take the apex at the same time. And for the white car, perfect situation, straight through past both of them.
Fantastic stuff. So now we've got the interesting scenario where Lukasec in 4th position was running a little bit higher than he was in qualification. So will he be able to use this opportunity to step away from the chasing pack? Or will Vanoli, that we're looking at this moment in time, in the blue car, there you go, number 7, passing our screens, will he have enough speed to get onto the back of that white car? And more importantly, just like we saw with Nico Puntola just 1 lap ago, has Vanoli got what it takes to find a way past that Ferrari? That is the $1 million question. Colavito buys himself into the fight now in 6th position as well. Principe, that we saw earlier on having a bit of drama, is in 8th position now. Lorca P9 and Bastian Marti still holding on to that final point, riding on board now. This is Luca Vanoli. Ahead of us is Lukasec, that we saw make his way past into T1 on the last lap. So Lukasec actually doing great work to start gapping this car, and Vanoli now is the man, isn't he? There's got to recompute, regather his senses and look in his mirrors, because that is Colavito and he fancies a nibble.
Exactly, you see, sticking his nose out a little bit behind. This is what's really unnerving when you're a driver in front of someone, because you can go forward, of course, but you always have to be looking in his mirror. Again, he's taking a tighter line, just playing good mind games right now. He's not really getting onto the back of him, but you can see he's causing little slides. He's missed an apex again because he's not looking ahead of him. He's looking in his mirror, and that's how you lose time.
Yeah, that's great bit of strategic driving there. I'm sure many of us watching at home have tried this ourselves. Just fill the mirrors of the car ahead, put them under pressure, make them think about it a little bit more than they would ideally need to, and see if there's an opportunity. As Daniel Santoro now 3rd position, so on the bottom step of the podium and just about in shooting distance of our 2 race leaders ahead. That is Kamil Pawlowski in the yellow car just ahead, and Isaac Price in the race lead. So now Danilo Santoro will be wanting to slowly but surely close that gap, get himself into contention. This is not over yet. 3rd position's nice, 2nd position's nicer, and 1st position is exactly what you want to take home at the end of racing this evening. So Danilo Santoro still has plenty of work to do, still has 2 cars to find his way past, but he's very much in the pound seats at the moment and doing everything he needs to do at this stage of the race. Stayed out of trouble, stayed out of drama, banked himself some good running positions, as this is Philippek now in 13th place. So Philippek having a very good race. Josh Martin just ahead of him, as for the points, fighting just outside of the points is just as intense, Brendan, as it is a little bit further up the field.
Exactly, because every position really matters now. Not even just for this race, but your chance of getting to the grand finale. You can see everyone's giving it 110%. But you can look on the bottom right. Sandorio in the fastest lap of anyone by 2 tenths compared to leaders there. It's getting super tight. And this is really where the mind games come in, because Isaac Price won his first race in the qualifiers, didn't he? And right now, everyone wants to catch him. Everyone wants to overtake him to make a point of, this isn't going to be easy, sunshine. I'm coming for you. That's a bit of contact as well down to turn 1. That's going to cause an absolute cluster.
Oh, mayhem down into turn 1. That was Philippek making contact with the bike off Josh Martin, spinning Martin around, and the car behind also got involved in that bit of drama. So the accordion effect into T1 unfortunately plays havoc with some of our drivers further down. That allows Gravanio into 13th, Ottomane up into P14. Martin recovers down in 15th position as Garcia drops down our timing screen, as well as we're looking now at Kamil Pawlowski once again 2nd position, running down into the hairpins. A lot of hard braking points here at the Nürburgring, a lot of acceleration zones where you've got to keep the car alive, you've got to keep the tyres alive, get a good run onto the following straight to get a slipstream of one of your rivals. And a bit messy that we saw down into T1, and it's so very easy, isn't it, when everybody's driving on their absolute limit, that you brake 1, 2, 3, 4 meters later than is optimal. You're straight into the back of your rival, aren't you?
Exactly, and we have to remember the braking's over turn 1 is about 120, 130 meters in these cars, and 120, 130 meters about 1 or 2 seconds relatively. Do you have 2 seconds ahead to react, and that's just not enough time when you're braking on the limit of the tyre's grip already. But interestingly with Prowski, he was changing buttons every corner. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's obviously changing the tractor control up, changing ABS down. He's trying to maximize every parameter inside of this car.
But is also doing plenty of changing is this man Tavanari, now in 11th position, changing his line from one side of the racetrack to the other in his attempts to liberate that 10th position away from Bastian Martin. It seems like at this stage of the race, as Kamil Pawlowski scores the fastest lap so far, it seems like he has got himself quite a bit of pace in that car, does Tavanari. Now looking to the inside, a little bit too far back to do anything on the brakes, but once again filling the mirrors, hoping to push Bastian Martin a little bit harder than he's comfortable with in the white car ahead of him. Try and bully him off the racing line without making contact, of course, because contact will very quickly result in, at the very minimum, a rap knuckle from our race stewards. As we see now, Tavanari cannot find a way past. There is not enough room to get these two Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo cars side by side, and we're running on board now with Tavanari. So Brendan, you've put yourself in the seat of the Italian driver. You're trying to find a way past. You're clearly quicker. Where you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it.
You need to fill the mirrors as much as possible, and you need to plan 1 or 2 corners in advance. So right now I'd be trying to slip up the inside, not actually to make the move, but to distract him, make him run a bit wide. He has run a bit wide. Now get the car tight, get on the power nice and early, and slipstream through the Schumacher S and dive it up the inside into the left-hander. Even if you don't make the move there, then you got him off the track position. Get a switch back onto the back straight and up the inside into the final chicane.
Fantastic stuff. Tavanari now driving incredibly aggressively. It's very interesting to know how much more curb that the blue number 14 car is using in comparison to Bastian Martin. As we see somebody there going the wrong direction, Garcia, we picked up Ruben Garcia in 18th position. That is Bale now a little bit further down the running orders. The Cots already retired from this race. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there, but there was a little bit of drama further down the running order. Ruben Garcia seems to be the man broadcast direction are focusing on, so potentially Garcia had himself a little bit of something to do with that one, as we see Nico Puntola there, very much the man with the hat and beard, very impressive there, and long hair as well, as Puntola continues what has been an impressive drive, 7th position so far, but he fancies his chances of moving up the running order because 6th position is right in front and he is defending.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see this is really the crunch time of the race, almost halfway through now, and this is where you make your statement, isn't it? The start of the championship, how aggressive are you going to be? Are you going to settle for just getting to the grand finale, or are you going to try and make your championship bet right now?
Exactly, you want to put one over on your rivals, you want to put one over on the broadcast as well. Fans at home will be watching, tuning in for your thousands. If you are, welcome, great to have you on board with us, and every bit of performance you can squeeze from this car, trust us, the drivers will be squeezing that performance. As Josh Martin now, we saw him involved in an incident not of his own making into T1 a couple of laps ago, now down in 15th position, so lower than you would suspect that car is capable of running. Martin very much a man on the recovery drivers. Luca Gravino now in the number 48, the yellow car that you see on screen, doing everything he can to find a way past Philip Heck ahead. So third, this is 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th positions, separated by very, very little out on the racetrack. But as we've seen many times in the world of real and virtual motorsport across the broad spectrum of racetracks, catching is one thing, overtaking is another, and this is a no contact sport. And Brendan, how do you weigh up the balance of that's an overtaking opportunity, but will my rival give me the room I need? How do you weigh that up in the cockpit? Do you even think about it? Do you just see a chance and go for it, or do you assess the situation?
Of course, depending on your situation in the championship, you have to assess. But of course, you have to take risks and you have to understand it. But the best way to overtake in the world is to say, I don't care what you're going to do, I'm coming through. That's how you have to do it.
Meanwhile, I was saying that one, I noticed that Vanoli has dropped down into 9th position, so been overtaken by a couple of rivals. He'll want that as much as he wants a rainstorm at a barbecue, but he's still in the points in 9th position. It's Vanoli, as we see now, Josh Martin down the inside, on the brakes, his rival sees him, Ottomani gets out of the way, Josh Martin, 15th position, no thank you, let's take 14th, but Ottomani's not giving up on this one yet. The white car at the back of your shot, trying to find a way past Josh Martin, very cautious on the brakes in a T4, there keeps the car very firmly on the curve to the inside, on the defensive, gets a good exit. Next on the list, Gravino in 13th position, and Filipek just a little bit further up the road in 12th. That was a very nice overtaking manoeuvre by Scotland's Josh Martin there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I just said, he got down the inside and said, I don't care what you're going to do. I'm taking this position. And he asserted himself, and now he's onto the back of the yellow car, and I reckon he's going to do the same thing at turn 1 the next lap.
Fantastic stuff. We'll keep our eye on Josh Martin. Here's the car in the middle of your shot, the number 11 there, as we go to 11th place in the race. This is Luca Tavanari. We've seen plenty from Luca so far in this event, making overtakes, getting himself into a spot of bother, and now he still wants Aston Martin's 10th position. Martin, meanwhile, should be noted, is driving a fantastic race under significant pressure to hold on to that final championship point in the opening race of Group A of the Ferrari Esports Series Championship, round 1 of 4. Isaac Price also doing a spectacular job at the front of the field, pole position, race lead, and only 13 minutes and 57 seconds left to go. But Karol Pawlowski, fastest lap, a 1 minute 58.968, has some intention of taking away that position from Isaac Price. We'll look at him there, picture in picture, a figure of concentration.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's interesting to note he was 3/10 slower than the 2 cars behind him on the previous lap. So when you're in this situation, you're leading, you have everything to lose. One mistake, one apex miss, you're down to P3, and effectively your chance of winning is over. But when you're P2, you have slightly less to lose. But when you're P3, you're in the best position mentally right now. Because if you make a mistake, doesn't matter. I can catch it up. I can make the mistake. I can take risks. But Isaac Price can't make a single mistake right now, and that's why his lap times are a little bit slower.
And the fortunate thing for these three, of course, is they have 4.5 seconds in hand over 4th position Lucas Extra. They can afford to make a little bit of a speculative move and still have enough real estate behind them to keep hold of track position. And Brendan, now, when you're racing at this level and this speed at the front of the field, how do the tyres last over the course of a 30-minute stint? Can you push just as hard at the beginning as you can, just as hard at the end as you can at the beginning, or does that need to filter into your strategic tool set as well?
You can push just as hard, but you have to push in a different way. You have to be smart, you have to use your brain, you have to use the components of the car in a better way. At the start of the race and in qualifying, you can just go hell for leather and push as much as you want. But you saw there, the front was actually understeering. You got a bit of snap oversteer on the exit, and that's because he's scrubbing the front tyres. It's losing a bit of tread depth, losing a bit of temperature, maybe even overheating if he's pushed too hard. And then because of that understeer, typically you get snap oversteer as well. So this is where you need to be careful, because you're still going to be pushing your car as hard as it will go, but you just need to rein it back a little bit and just coax the car into the corner, you know, rub its belly, be smooth to it, be nice to it, and it'll give you nice lap time as a reward.
I can so imagine somebody whispering in Isaac Price's ear while he's leading this race, and Karol Pawlowski reeling off fastest lap after fastest lap. Just rein it in a little bit, Isaac. It's okay. Go a little bit slower. That'll make you faster. No chance is he going to be doing that. He is pushing himself and the car to the limit. And this is good, isn't it, Brendan, actually, for the championship? Because Isaac Price was incredibly quick in the qualification races and the hot lap qualification that came with it. So to see two drivers, Pawlowski and Danilo Santoro, so closely matched with our race leader, is a mouth-watering prospect for the rest of this championship season.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. My belly's got butterflies. It's going to be amazing. And I want to speak to Isaac after this race, actually, and get an understanding from him if he expected the 2 cars behind him to be as close as they are. Because, of course, that you touched upon, he was very dominant his first time out, wasn't he? So is this a bit of a shockwave to him? Is he going to put more work in for the next race? Or is the 2 cars behind him going to overtake him?
Right, there is some drama now. A little bit further down the field, we return to number 7 in 9th position. This is Vanoli, we said, had a little bit of drama early on, dropped a couple of places, so he needs to make a recovery drive now. 9th position equates to 2 points. That will not be a just reward for the speed that is within that car. So Vanoli trying to find a way past Wallorca ahead of him in 8th position. They're now a little bit detached from Principe in P7. So this is, I'm afraid, with 10.5 minutes left to go, about the best that Vanoli can hope for is finding a way past that car now as Wallorca runs a little bit deep. That compromising for the left-hander is a little bit shallow. He's going to run the car out wide onto the AstroTurf. Vanoli does so as well. Both drivers very, very greedy on the outskirts of the racetrack, but Vanoli now still the man with the momentum into the chicane. Very difficult to find a way past. You can't really get cars too wide as he gets as close as one can possibly get without making contact. Shows his nose into the final corner, nothing doing there. Tries to get a run through the last turn onto the back straight. Bastian Martin now has gone from a defensive position into potentially an attacking pose in 10th position as well. This is absolute drama in the fight for the final points paying position of the opening race of the year.
Yeah, they're so close together, aren't they? One mistake and 3 cars are going to overtake you. But you're saying that if you don't attack, you will be attacked yourself. Overtake or be overtaken. This is the way it is right now.
This is why we and everybody watching and everybody racing at home love this sort of competition. You cannot let up for a second. You must be the best version of yourself you can be at every moment on the racetrack. Otherwise, you will be swallowed up by the competition as Luca Vanoli once again, virtual reality headset that will give him very, very good depth perception, will allow him to have a full view around himself of the car, but of course brings downsides as well. It will be much, much hotter behind that headset, especially with the pressure turned up to gas mark 9. And can Luca Vanoli find a way past? He's got the speed, he's got the tenacity, but will he have the opportunity? And Brendan, you've got the overlap. You can see the car ahead is moving all over the racetrack. This, and I was going to ask you where would you pass, but this looks like a golden opportunity. Vanoli now too wide. That will be the outside. Will he brave it around the outside? Yes, he will. The number 7 uses all the curve. That becomes the inside to the right-hander. They remain too wide. A tap. A love kiss on the rear quarter. That spins around a little bit too aggressive for Vanoli. One of the other cars is facing the wrong way. That is Lorca. So drama and contact. That one seemed inevitable.
Yeah, that was brewing for quite a few corners, wasn't it? Everyone was getting a bit hot under the collar, and unfortunately that led to a spin, and probably I have to put the blame on Vinola, to be honest, because he was sort of up the inside and ran wide a bit, if we're honest.
Yeah, that was a first bit of contact is inevitable, but unfortunately there was the second, third and fourth, which put pay to his rival, and that drops him. Also, that moves him up into P8. It's Bastian Martin that's been doing a great job on the defensive now, inherits 9th position, and Tavanari goes into the final points playing. Wow, that's hard. Put your teeth in. Final points paying position. There we go. In 10th position. Meanwhile, Danilo Santoro is the man that is the mover and the shaker in this race. Fastest lap of the race so far. Takes it away from Kamil Pawlowski, and the number 5 is starting slowly but surely to move himself into this contention for the race victory, with these 3 separated still by just a couple of tenths of a second.
Yeah, everyone's getting a bit hot now, and this is sort of the time of the race, so you maybe see some people start to settle down. So you see Santoro, he's dropped a little bit back, and earlier he was setting fastest laps of the race. So I will have to wonder if he's sort of like, okay, I'll take a P3. This isn't the grand finale just yet. And to be honest, I can sit back and watch. I can watch how Isaac Price is going to defend. Will he make mistakes? Will he crack? Will he slide his tyres? And all these little nuggets of information will make a big difference in the grand finale.
Now here's a question for you. Obviously these drivers are racing at the absolute highest level in this event, but can you still learn something following so closely of your rivals? Will you be looking at what they're doing and be able to pull out some data and some takeaway from that one that you can use to improve yourself and your performance going forward, Brendan?
Oh, for sure, because Every driver is different. I'm different to David Tonita, for example, my teammate, and we can all learn from each other. And the way that you do it is you sit behind, and maybe turn one, Isaac Price is half a tenth quicker. Maybe sit a bit tighter to the apex, get the car straighter on the power. And all these little nuggets, like I say, are just something you can gather. Isaac Price isn't able to learn anything by leading at the moment from Kowalski and the people behind. But the people behind can learn everything from Isaac. Those little bits of sliding, maybe they can learn that the anti-roll bar on Isaac Price's car is set up a bit stiffer. Maybe had a bit more sliding in the mid-corner, will allow us to get straight to get on the power earlier. But like I say, Isaac Price has the golden seat because he's leading and he's winning. But also, he's in the seat that means he learns the least.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Brendan Lee. We've got 5 minutes now and 20 seconds left on the clock. A quick rundown of our top 10. Isaac Price from Kamil Pawlowski that we're looking at now. As we're looking now, Nico Puntola in 6th position, Daniel Santoro 3rd, Luke Sech 4th position, Colavito P5. This man, Nico Puntola, the number 16 in 6th position, Principe P7, Marco Vanoli in 8th position, Bastian Marte newly promoted into P9, and Tavanari rounding out the top 10. But Puntola now, 4.5 minutes, only a couple of laps realistically left in the race, and he has got a great run on Colavito. Colavito, the silent assassin, moved himself into 5th position without much fuss so far in this race, having a very quiet but very, very well executed event, and Puntola will fancy his chances in the blue car. We're riding on board now. Talk us through how the car's behaving, Brendan.
Yeah, so you can see the car in front there, all their tyres are going off, aren't they? Because it's the end of the race, and you can see the sliding under power, a bit of sliding under braking, turning, and especially. And this is really need to be careful. You don't want to overheat the surface of the tyre, because it compounds the issue even worse. But right now, I'd be looking to get a good exit from the chicane, straight line the brake into the final corner, get an amazing exit off here, because it's really where you can make the difference into turn 1. You see, goes a bit wider, gets the car straight, amazing exit. You can see Delta is actually gaining time on his fastest lap on the exit here. He could be close enough to take a lunge. It's going to be a big lunge at that, but he could do it down to turn 1. Let's say the track to the right, so you can really make a desperate lunge if you want to. But he's not going to. He's going to be sensible for now and try and set up a move for later in the lap.
Yeah, Nico Puntola keeping his powder dry just for now, goes to the outside. That's not really an overtaking opportunity, but as we said before, try and fill the mirrors of your rival. Colavito now knows he is in the pressure seat as Puntola goes one way and then the other, waving the flag, the Ferrari badge, the emblem in his face behind, trying to find a way past. Can we get two cars into room where there is one? Nico Puntola will be very much hoping that is the case, as once again goes wide, tries to cut back, tries to get a run, has to get on the brakes actually there on corner exit, and that's going to compromise him, and that might start to give a little bit of encouragement to the yellow car behind, which it does. And Principe goes a little bit deep now, so this could go any which way so far in the final few minutes, as Angelo Colavito that we're looking at there focusing once again, but he's under pressure.
Yeah, I think it's going to get a bit scrappy, to be honest. I reckon there's going to be a bit of bodywork touching and some paint swapping. I don't think anyone's going to spin, though. I think the drive is to a high level that will keep it just about clean enough. But I reckon someone's going to show their nose, and I'm looking forward to it.
You can tell you're new to commentating because you've made a prediction. The first mistake you could possibly make is make a prediction, because they never, ever come true. But let's find out. We've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds to see if Brendan Lee is right and these two will not make contact and spin in the close of this race. Nico Puntola wants that position. Danilo Santoro wants second position, as well as Kamil Pawlowski now has become detached from Isaac Price, our race leader. And now the big question is, who will finish in second? Cam Pawlowski. He's held it for 28 minutes. Can he hold it through to the end of the race? We'll find out in a few moments' time. But Danilo Santoro has not given up yet. Has been looking now at a replay. This is Santoro coming down into the left-hander, goes wide. Nothing particularly happening at the moment. Pawlowski nice and neat at the front of the field. Santoro using all the curbs and a little bit more to try and minimise the amount of distance between himself and that yellow car. But Santoro still unable to find a way past.
Yeah, it's getting all a bit desperate now, isn't it? The tyres are going off. You're in the last minute or two of the race, and this is really when the tyres struggle. They're screaming for help. You've been torturing them for almost 30 minutes now. You've been torturing yourself. The mental capacity needing to race at this level is to the highest grade possible. You're really on the limit of the car and yourself right now.
Yeah, great stuff. This is Danny Santoro that we're looking at now. Third position. We saw in the slow-mo how hard he's trying to find a way past, but I fear he is running out of time now as we are, I believe, on the final lap, near enough of the race. 45 seconds left on the countdown that you see at the top of your screen. Remember, this is the first race of the Group A Championship of the Ferrari Esports Series. Isaac Price has been dominant is probably the wrong word, but certainly the most competitive of our drivers at the front of the field. Karol Pawlowski looked like he had enough in the tank to find a way past, but couldn't quite manage it in second place. And Daniel Santoro did everything and more to get that second position. 14 seconds left on the clock. We head round final turn. Isaac Price goes to the line as we see now another 5 further down. Josh Martin in 17th position. So something, Brendan Lee, has happened to Josh Martin, and that has dropped him down a further couple of positions.
Yeah, bad day goes to worse, but he's scrapping away and he's putting up someone on the grass. He's getting super desperate right now. More contact, but they're fighting over no points. Just keep it clean. You don't need to make these risks over no points at the moment. But I reckon he's going to send it up the inside anyway, just for the ego, just to prove a point, but he doesn't. But like I say, this is the final opportunity anyway. Just keep it clean. Don't crash into each other. You don't need to make a rival right now in this part of the championship.
And of course, that's a very good point indeed, actually, about making a rival. This is a 4-race season, so unlike any time up to this point in the 2021 Ferrari Esports Series, these same drivers will participate in a championship over 4 races. You irritate and annoy somebody or wrong somebody today, they're going to be on the same track as you again the next time when we head to Monza for round 2 on September the 28th. So you've got to keep that in the back of your mind. But now we are on the final lap. Isaac Price crossed the start-finish line with just a few seconds to spare. So this is the last time through the chicane, the last time you're going to need to accelerate, to brake, to turn this car. If you are Isaac Price at the front of the field, you've just got a few more corners between yourself and race victory. This is the man, the number 1 pole position, fastest in the qualification stages, fastest off the line when the lights went green, fastest during the course of the race. And Isaac Price is doing everything he can to grab hold of that winner's trophy and the 25 points that come with it. Now Isaac Price, number one in the race, number 1 on the car, and now about to take the first victory of the season through the final corner for the very last time. One final check of the mirrors, take the checkered flag. Isaac Price is our race winner in the opening round of the Ferrari Esports Series Championship 2021 Group A. Isaac Price, race victor. Karol Pawlowski P2, and in third position we have got Danilo Santoro. Brendan, that was tremendous.
Yeah, especially from Isaac. I'm super actually impressed by him. I know he's at a high level anyway from his previous sim racing adventures, but to do what he did today, to hold off all the pressure, seemingly didn't make any mistake, maybe the most at a slide, but definitely didn't lose a second from a mistake. To hold it all together, to keep the pressure on, and to not crack at all, he's made a statement today, in my opinion.
Yes, he has indeed. I would totally agree with that one. Is Isaac Price really showing himself to be one of the drivers to keep an eye on during the course of this 4-round season, and very much a shoe-in for the December 14th grand finale. So here we go. Isaac Price, Karol Pawlowski, Danilo Santoro in third position, Wojciech Lukaszek in P4, Angelo Colavito holds on to fifth position at the checkered flag, Nico Tola in P6, Umberto Principe in 7th position, Luca Vinoli eventually finishes in 8th position, with Bastian Marti P9 and Luca Tavanare, the final points winner, in 10th position. And that was dramatic, but don't forget, folks at home, we've still got another race to go. So let's go back to the studio ahead of the start of the Group B first race of the season. Fantastic stuff. As always, the Nurburgring serves up. an incredible race, and that was our opening race of the championship for Group A. But fear not, unlike you're used to in the Ferrari Esports series, we've not got one, we've got 2 races today. And now it is the time of our Group B drivers. Remember, there were 48 drivers qualified for this series, so another 24 have still got to get out there on circuit and show us what they can do. So, speaking of, this Group B qualification, once again, is just completed, and now it is time to head to the circuit, see who's qualified where, and get ready for the second race of the Ferrari Esports Series of the day, and the first for our Group B drivers. Here we go again. We are back with our first race for Group B in the Ferrari Esports Series. Last time around in the A race, we had a fabulous performance from all of our stars on the track, and now let us see what Team B can do today. Arnaud Lecombe and Michael Tanitsa on the front row of the grid. Maxime Bafoulier in 3rd position. Leonardo Pagano rounding out the top of row 4. Jonathan Riley in P7. Alessandro Miragali in 9th position. Then Davide Adami in 11th place will be looking to score some points. Dominic Ullman and Murray Striker 13-14. Haroldus Joshuas in 14th position. And in 19th position is Francesco Molinaro. Our guest driver, Lubakov, in 22nd position. Andrea Fosti in 23rd. And Matthias Tiskovic in the final running position of 25th. Brendan Lee, race 1 was amazing. The B race, I am sure, will be just as good.
I'm like a kid waiting for his dinner. I'm ready to get stuck in. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We've got a guest driver as well, so looking forward to seeing how she gets on over the course of the next 30 minutes of racing. This is Group B. This is the Ferrari Esports Series, and this is the opening round of the championship from the beautiful Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit in Germany. By now, you know the routine. There are some lights at the top of your screen. They will all go red. 3, 4, 5, 6. When they're extinguished, the cars will set off, and the race is go. 25 cars head off from a standing start on the run down into the opening corner of the race. Arnaud Lecombe from France takes pole position, and a race lead. Michael Tanitsa shows his nose up the inside, but there is nothing doing for Tanitsa, so Arnaud Lecombe retains race lead. Batafulier in 3rd position, just ahead of Catilla, and Pagano in 4th and 5th position. Jonathan Riley moving up the order ahead of Slovanak. A little bit further down the running order is Leonardo Pagano now in the green machine. The number 21 in the middle of your screen is charging in 5th position. Miragalia just behind, trying to find a way past the white car. Shows its nose at the inside, not quite enough of an overlap to make an overtaking manoeuvre. We've got a little bit of a Slovanik now again swapping positions with Riley down the running order. Here is Jonathan Riley side by side on the run down into the hairpin. Jonathan Riley and Slovanak side by side. Who will come out of the corner ahead? We will find out in a few moments' time. But Brendan, opening corners, sensational driving.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the last time, isn't it? Really clean, really precise, amazing driving. Side by side, almost into the Schumacher S in the background there. Who's going to come out on top? It was the blue and white car battling. I think the white car has come out on top, though.
Yeah, fantastic stuff as we're looking now at Bolognese and Altanel swapping positions once again. Bolognese just getting a little bit too aggressive. There's some rubbing between the pair of them, but in 12th position so far in the white and blue car. Lives to fight another day as we run now through the kink into the chicane. This is a very unlikely place, but possible as look there we go. That is Leonardo Dalcamo. Fires the car up the inside, no chance of making the apex. He goes for a day at the beach and collects a little bit of sand in the world's most expensive bucket and spade. Here we go again now. This is the replay. The number 2 on the inside completely misses his braking point and goes for a nice day out in the sunshine. Very dramatic, and Brendan, that could have been a sizable shunt.
10 out of 10 for effort, 1 out of 10 for execution.
Great stuff though, and the driver does manage to keep the car forward momentum going, so he returns to the race a little bit further down. Dalcamo now 16th position as we're looking now. Miragala in 6th position, just behind Pagano that we see ahead and just ahead of Dagone in 7th position. So much like we saw in the opening race in the Group A event, drivers a little bit tentative in these opening stages, aren't they, Brendan? Don't want to make too much of a commitment too early into the race and potentially make their day's work that little bit harder.
Exactly, but you've got to be punchy on these first few laps just to make the point. You see, I think he's going to get up the inside for the hairpin. Nah, he's just going to be a little bit behind, so he didn't get the run off the traction. But like you say, everyone's kind of settling in, getting a bit aggressive though at the same time. It's a weird balance, as he's actually going a bit wide. There wasn't contact. I think he outbroke himself, and he's going to drop all the way outside the top 10 position, so we're going to have to fight hard to make positions back up from there.
Yeah, that is a big mistake, definitely, Adame, just snatching a wheel, snatching a brake, and that runs him out of the racetrack. As Joshua now we're looking at in the yellow machine, 13th position, so still a little bit away from where they need to be in order to score some points. But this is the early running of the race, so there's plenty, there's 26 minutes to be precise of action ahead of us, and Joshua in 13th, Strumidlo, sorry, just ahead in 12th as we're going a little bit further up the order now. This is the fight for 7th position so far. We have got so many cars. Last one spin. That is Dagone in a spinner through the final turn. Dagone tries too hard, very careful on the rejoin, almost collects one of his rivals as they now loop around the track. Arnold Lecombe, fastest lap of the race at the head of the field, ahead of Michael Tanitsa. But that was dangerous, Brendan, wasn't it? Almost a secondary contact.
Yeah, we were just commenting about people being quite calm as well, and they're going off the rails, aren't they? They're absolutely sending it. But you know what? I'd be the same way, you know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity quite possibly for them, so they've got to grab it and run with it. But I'm interested if they've been watching the race one with Isaac Price, etc., and then maybe they thought people were a bit too conservative, and that's just why they're really going hard for it on this one.
Yeah, that's plenty of drama for us in the commentary box and for everybody at home as well. So, by the way, if you are joining us, thank you very much. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, the A race, opening race of the season, the Group A event happened a little bit earlier on, so you can check that out on the Ferrari social media channels. Do have a look at that one. It was a great race. But now we're in Group B, the opening race of 4, the first round here at the Nurburgring. We're on board with Slovanak in 8th position. Jonathan Riley just ahead of us. We're looking now on board with Slovanak, concentrating fully on the task in hand with the number 26 car that you see on your screen. And again, it's a question I've asked you before, and no doubt will ask you again. Where is the best place to try and find a way past if you're that number 26th and 8th?
Well, I've been sitting here watching people go off left, right and centre right now. So in a way, I've been wanting to keep my nose clean and wait for them to make a mistake. And as you see that, someone's gone off spinning off into the grass area. So I wonder if there was a bit more contact there. But like I was just saying, this is a race actually where you try to survive. Maybe you don't stick your nose up the inside because there's so much chaos. If you stick your nose up the inside, you're more than likely going to be in a crash in this race.
Yeah, very much case of plenty of drama. That was Gator Noj, I believe, going the wrong direction. So that is another one of our drivers, the Frenchman, off the racetrack and further down the run. Another 21st position now alongside Dagone that we saw facing the wrong way. A lap or so ago. But meanwhile, Maxime Batifulier now 3rd position, trying to find a way past Michael Tanitsa ahead. This is Leonardo Dalcamo on the outside, coming into T1. On the inside is Joshua. So Joshua finds his way past on the braking zone into T1. But Dalcamo, we've seen plenty of this chap in the Ferrari Esports Series this year and last. He's not giving up, getting sideways on the throttle, really trying to stretch the legs of that Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo is the number 2, but that's not the fastest way sideways here at Nürburgring, is it?
No, you definitely, maybe mid-corner, you get a bit of a rotation, but on the exit, you have to be straight as anything, get the power on, try to avoid the traction control system and fire off the corner and try and set the lap record.
Lap records indeed would certainly help some of these drivers. This man in particular, this is Mirigalia in 6th position, but he has got a train of cars headed by Jonathan Riley, Slovanak, that we're riding on board with now through the chicane as well, and both of these drivers fancy their chances of making their way into the top 6. Both seems to have plenty of pace. We've seen plenty of drama already. Maybe the Group B cohort of racers have been inspired a little bit by their Group A colleagues and decided to up the ante just a further touch. But if you're Mirigali now in 6th position, you're seeing these two cars snapping at your heels. What's the best way to defend here, Brendan, without losing too much time to your rivals?
Do you know what though? Because these cars don't have too much slipstream, they don't really produce any dirty air as well. The best way to defend is actually to go forward. If you've got a car that has a lot of slipstream and we can tow up behind you on the straight, then sometimes you need to weave a little bit. But if I was him, get my head down and try to smash some good corners in and try and break the toe.
Yeah, he's doing a good job so far, not making any mistakes, keeping the car on the straight and narrow, making sure you spot your braking zones, catch the apex, and that actually now has put Jonathan Riley under a little bit of pressure, just behind this number 39. Jonathan Riley, there you see him now, the blue and white car under pressure from Slavinak in 8th position. So this is Mirigali's opportunity to start to build a bit of a gap from the chasing pack. He's dropped 4 seconds unbelievably off the car ahead of him as we're looking now, riding on board and picture in picture as well. So this is not really much of an opportunity to close the cars down in front, but it gives you a little bit of breathing room to focus on the task in hand, and that task is holding on to 6th position. So Arnaud Lecombe showing the form that we have seen so many times in the Ferrari Esports series, dominating at the head of the field from Michael Tinitza in 2nd position. Maxime Battifoulier still in with a chance of that P2 in 3rd position, half a second in arrears. Catilla P4, Pagano in 5, and then Mirigala that we were just looking at then is in 6th position. This is Maxime Battifoulier, and now Brendan. Michael Tinitza showed a great turn of pace in qualification, but do you think he's got what it takes, relatively inexperienced, to hold on to this position for the next 20 plus minutes?
I think he does. I think he takes after his brother, and I think they'll be good under pressure, both of them. But of course, he needs to keep himself composed, because the difficult thing right now is you're watching Lecombe pull away at 4 or 5 tenths per lap, and it knocks your confidence a little bit when that happens. So you just need to make sure you don't overly push. I think we need to be realistic here. The win is realistically out of the window right now. So you just need to focus and make sure you don't make a silly mistake going for a win what isn't really there.
Yeah, that is some good advice for Michael Tinitza. He's the grey car at the front of the shot. Maxime Battifoulier in 3rd position, still snapping at his heels. Joni Catilla in 4th position, the Finnish driver, also very, very interested indeed in having a look at these podium races. Fighting slowly but surely in the blue car at the back of your shot to get up on terms with the 2 podium runners at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Jonathan Riley hasn't had anything like a moment's rest and relaxation in 7th position. Riley still attacking, still defending. Arnaud Lecombe doing what he does best, running away at the front of the field, and I can't see much further past Arnaud Lecombe for not only a race victory, but potentially even one of those key positions in the grand finale on December the 14th. The man is just a machine in these cars, isn't he?
You know what I find really interesting there is the psychological mind game between Group A and Group B. Right now, if my memory serves me correctly, he's doing faster lap times than Isaac Price was doing relatively at the same time of the race. So it's really going to be interesting because they're going to watch the replay back. If they don't watch the replay back, they quite clearly don't want it bad enough, because you need to watch and learn from each other's group. The conditions are like for like, the cars are like for like. So it's all about how you set it up, how you drive it as well. And right now, I think Lecombe's doing a better race than Isaac did. So when you get to the grand finale in a few races' time, game's on.
Yep, absolutely. Arnaud Lecombe, Isaac Price, 2 drivers who were titans in this series. Meanwhile, this is Degoni now, 20th position, goes up the inside of Cavallari, gives him a little bit of a love tap as well for good measure, and that is Degoni now up a position, currently on the recovery drive following an incident earlier in the race. 19th place will be the most frustrated end result for the driver if it stays, and it is, but there's still plenty of racing left to go. We've not quite hit the halfway marker, and this is Maxime Batifollier still on the tail of Michael Tunitsa, and Tunitsa doing a great job to soak up this pressure so far. And as you say, it's very difficult, isn't it, as a driver, not to get into the mindset of starting to over-defend and then start going backwards, and then that compounds the issue, doesn't it?
Exactly, because as a racing driver, it's all about flow, momentum, and making action with the car to the road. And as soon as you start to brake 1 or 2 meters earlier because you're looking in your mirror, you're a bit nervous, it becomes a momentum for you again. That you start to brake that bit earlier and it becomes your flow. Everyone in real life racing as well as sim racing talks about the flow of the car. You need to understand it. You need to talk to the car. And that's really where you could be losing a lot of time. If the flow starts to be that you drive 2/10 laps slower than your optimal just to defend, you stay at that 2/10 for the rest of the race.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And Jonathan Riley so far doesn't really have much opportunity to do anything other than push at the moment. 7th position still in the fight. Michael Tunitsa, 2nd position, still just ahead of Maxime Batifollier in P3. 2.5, 3/10 of a second separate these two cars, but in reality, it is just a single wheel out of place that separates them, and then they will be fireworks, I am sure, before this race comes to its conclusion with 16 minutes left on the clock. Riley, once again, the meat in the sandwich here. 7th position, wants to find a way past Miragalia, wants to defend from Slavanak behind as Slavanak now gets a very good run through the chicane. That's expected by Riley. He goes to the defensive on the final turn. Slavanak looks to the outside line. There'll not be enough room there. He'll try and cut the car back up the inside. Can't quite get the overlap, so looks for the run. Heading down the back straight into T1. We've seen overtaking opportunities before in this corner. Top of your screen, Tunitsa on the defensive. Bottom of your screen, we got the fight for 7th position. Good defensive drive there from Jonathan Riley. Covers the inside nice and efficiently, and that is still retaining that position. And Michael Tunitsa at the top of your screen, still very much fighting to keep hold of that 2nd place as well.
Yeah, it was almost a carbon copy, wasn't it? You saw the 2 screens and both 3 cars were doing identical things almost. So really shows the level that you have throughout the field, because quite often you can see the top cars and the bottom cars doing quite different things, but you can see they're doing exactly the same thing, showing that their intention and the level of understanding of a car is very similar with these drivers.
Yeah, these are all drivers that are looking to fight for their chance to become a professional esport driver at the Ferrari Driver Academy esports team. They've gone through hot lap qualification phases. They've done knockout qualification races, and now they've earned a place in the main Ferrari Esports Series Championship. We will score points: 25 for 1st, 18 for 2nd, all the way down to 10th position over a 4-race championship. At the end of that 4-race championship in both Group A and the race that you're watching now for Group B, the top 12 championship finishers will go to the grand finale on December the 14th. The winner of that grand finale will become a member, a fully fledged member of the Ferrari Driver Academy esports team, alongside yourself, Brendan Lee, David Tunitsa and Giovanni Di Salvo, amongst others. And Brendan, what are you looking for? What are you looking for as we're commentating on this race? We're enjoying the battle, but what are you looking for as a professional from these drivers that you think it will help you and the team progress forwards?
You're looking for someone who's hungry, that they wake up and they sleep and they breathe racing. Someone who's willing to make it happen, willing to go all the way and sacrifice everything else to be world champion. That is the driver that you want in your team.
Fantastic stuff, and I'm sure at the course at the end of this season we will find said driver. Meanwhile, Arnold comes stamping his authority on this race. He wants that position. He wants to be a Ferrari Driver Academy star, and with 7.5 seconds to the good from Michael Tunitsa, he's put in a very firm hand on that opportunity already in the early stages of this championship season. This is Catilla now, 4th position. A great drive actually from Joni Catilla, very much firing over and above expectations so far, to be sniffing out the opportunity to score a podium place. Maxime Batifollier does not look like he has got anything for Michael Tunitsa ahead. He has more pace, but not quite enough to get the overtake signed, sealed and delivered here at the Nurburgring. So these are kind of as you were a little bit now. And again, we've seen these 3 drivers are not scrapping particularly hard on track. What do you do, Brendan, in this scenario to try and reignite this battle? How would you influence what's going on ahead of you?
But being P4, what I'll do is a bit of a cheeky tactic, to be honest. You drop back a little bit off the P3 car. He's going to go side by side into the chicane, backed out of it. He's going to go for the undercut. He's going to get the switchback. I predict onto the back straight as well. Actually, going to go round it outside. The car going up his inside. That's really brave. Close racing stuff. Bit of contact. He's going to spin all the way around, and that's a massive disappointment for Riley.
Oh, real shame. Jonathan Riley trying everything to find his way up the running order, but gets caught out with contact as Lecombe goes fastest. Slovanite now from Altanel going up the inside. Miragalia is just ahead in 6th position, but Slovanite now in 7th position. Altanel dropping down to position 8. Bolognese in 9th, and Jonathan Riley recovering onto the racetrack all the way down in 15th position. Brendan Lee, what happened during that bit of drama?
Everyone just got a bit too greedy, didn't they? He was going around the outside. The car tried to dive up his inside, and I think he realised very late that the car was diving up his inside. He's tried to close the door. I don't really think anyone was massively at fault. It was one of those things of a million into one doesn't go.
Yeah, too much Ferrari in too little space leads to somebody coming away from it as the loser, and sadly Jonathan Riley is that man on this occasion with a massive disadvantage down in 15th position. Now here we go, look, this is our female guest driver for the Ferrari Esports Series, a popular YouTuber as well, of course, in the world of sim racing, esports and gaming. She's doing a very strong job so far in 16th position here in the Group B opening race of the season. Not gone through, of course, the hot lap qualification or qualification knockout race process. She's part of the Ferrari guest driver program, and 16 is a very, very solid debut. Murray Striker, somebody we know is incredibly talented, is just behind a half a second in arrears, and the recovering Dragone in P18th as well. So fabulous drive from us there in 16th position. Jonathan Riley a little bit further up the road after his dramas as well, is just clear of that fight, and Batifulier now is starting again to eke his way closer. But what kind of lap time, what kind of speed or time delta overlap do you need to make an overtake realistic here, Brendan?
Well, it all depends on what's going on. If you have about half a second, you can probably cruise up and make an overtake relatively easy. But anything that you're faster than the car in front, then it can make it happen. But while you're only 1 or 2 tenths faster, then the effect of the driver in front being able to block the racing line is more powerful and will overcome your racecraft in that way.
And we know that a level of driver that we see here in the Ferrari Esports Series, 1 or 2 tenths is the maximum you're going to gain. As now we're looking at Dalcamo trying his way around the outside, look to the inside, ran out of space very late on the brakes, does a good job to gather the car together, does Dalcamo now down into 12th position, the number 2 car on your screen. That was incredibly squeaky bum time, but they both just about survived in the hard braking zone into T1. That is Jotuous now up into 11th position, but those 2 cars came incredibly close, and that is skill, isn't it, Brendan, to keep the car on the tarmac when that got so out of control.
It's skill, composure combined, isn't it? Like you say, because in that moment, how many times have you seen someone go flying off into the gravel trap and the race ended in disappointment? But no, he straightened up the wheel, got it composed, got the ABS working in the car, and really stopped it down. And now he's in a position that he can recover and attack again for that P11 position.
Indeed he is, and they are not too far away from the points. They only need one little drama ahead of them, and that will be a all-important point towards the start of their championship challenge. Maxime Batifulier now, we're back with him. 3rd position, the bottom step of the rostrum. Arnaud Lecombe is pretty much starting the 2nd race of the season. He's that far ahead. He's booked his plane ticket to Monza, and he will see everybody else on the 28th of September. 10 seconds now to the good of Michael Tanitsa. This is Arnaud Lecombe, another fastest lap. He's collected accolades over the course of this race, and yeah, we've said it already, Brendan, but it's worth saying again. That number 13 is stamping some authority on this race and really laying down a marker for his rivals, isn't he?
Exactly, he's not lifting off a bit, he's really sending a message. If Isaac Price is watching this race, Isaac Price is going to be understanding that there's going to be more than 2 cars fighting him in the grand finale. There's going to be minimum of a third one joining the party.
Now, here we see a good little back battle pack. This is Molinaro that we're looking at in 14th position, the number 15 car. Just behind him is Grassi in the red machine. So Molinaro, not really seen much of him over the course of the first 22 minutes of this race, having a solid job in 12th. Riley somehow has worked his way up to 13th position, so fabulous return to form for Jonathan Riley following the bit of contact a couple of laps ago. So we'll keep half an eye on that fight, half an eye on this fight as well. These two liveries very, very similar. The front 2 cars make our job that little bit harder, but what we need to see is Michael Tanitsa, 2nd position, held it from the start of the race, but now Tanitsa, we saw last race, didn't we? The tyres go off. Tanitsa's job's only going to get more difficult from here on in.
Exactly, because being the leading car, like I say before in the last race, you can't make a mistake. You have to be perfect. But right now, coming up for the hairpin, he's going to go attacking. It's going to be a really interesting one here. I'd be looking for a switchback on the exit and try and get a good run up to the Schumacher S. Going around the outside of here is basically impossible because the camber just gives you too much grip on the inside. And like I say, both is slotted back into line now.
Yeah, that's to go in 18th position. Maurice Stryker in P17 head. Oz in 16th position. Our guest driver as well, just a little bit clear of this fight. And Degoni now looks to the inside. Can he get late on the brakes? Yes, he can. Thank you very much. Gather the car up. That is mine. I will take that one. I will have that 17th position. I'll give you a little bit of exhaust fumes as well for good measure. Maurice Stryker, consider yourself schooled, sunshine. Now is your time to attack. But Ullman in 19th place wants to get involved as well. So great overtaking move by Degoni there.
It's all heating up, isn't it? Just like race 1. 5 minutes on the clock. Everyone's getting a bit scrappy. You see jumping over the curb. Bit of a mistake there up in the inside of the final corner. Sadly, the camera cut away, so we didn't quite see it. But you can see everyone's getting a bit more feisty. 5 minutes to go. Gloves are off.
They are indeed. This is the fight now for P11th. Dalcamo that we're looking at. Jotuas just ahead of him as well. Not quite in the points paying positions at this moment in time. But any lessons that we've learned from this race is absolutely anything can happen. So you've got to be there right to the very checkered flag. Here we go now for another picture in picture. That's the fight at the bottom of your screen between Jotuas and Dalcamo, 11th and 12th position. At the top of your screen, the continuation of this. Michael Tanitsa, Maxime Batifulier and Joni Catilia fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. If you were a betting man, would you be laying any money down on that top 3 changing before the checkered flag waves?
To be honest, yeah, I think it's going to change. I reckon P4 is going to get into P3, and I think Tanitsa is going to hold his position, but P3 will go for a move on Tanitsa, but then sadly lose out because of it.
Yep, that's a very accurate, well, not accurate, sorry, that's a very detailed prediction. Let's find out in the next 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Michael Tanitsa, I knew I'd do that one before the race is over, calling him David. Michael Tanitsa holding 2nd position by a short margin from Maxime Batifulier in 3rd position. Catilia in P4. These cars are separated by nothing. Tanitsa recognises the danger, starts to go to the inside to cover the line in the braking zone into T1. This will give heart to Maxime Batifulier. He'll know that his rival now is concentrated on what's happening behind him. And Batifulier's got another driver, Joni Catilia, for company in 3rd position. Brendan, what do? Are you focusing on defending that P3 or are you interested in snatching away that 2nd place?
Very dependent on how confident you are that you can go forward, aren't you? Because if you're slightly worried that you might go backwards, you just settle and you take P3. But you can see this is an absolute massive cluster of a fight going up to the 1st corner.
Brilliant stuff further down the order. Maurice Stryker right in the middle of the action as well as we hit T1 with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. That is Degoni missing the braking point into the 1st corner, but manages to retain position on the inside just a little bit further up the running order. This is Maurice Stryker that you see on your screen now in the yellow car, the 3rd of this trail of 6 machines, all squabbling. A little bit of contact behind as well, a little bit of contact between the 2 of them, although that turns into nothing. That is Cavallari and Noge, I believe, again making a little bit of contact, but Murray's striker now has it all to do. He fancies a way past the car ahead. He's got Ullman for company, and Ullman will try and leverage this opportunity to find a way through the battle pack as well. And this is going to be keeping him awake for the final few minutes of this race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all gloves off, and I love it because as well, okay, maybe it's not for points at the moment, but it's for pride, and pride within racing drivers is everything for them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Pride, and also it's just putting another marker to one of your rivals to know that you're someone not to be messed with should you come against them again in the next 3 races and potentially even the grand finale as well. And now we hit less than 2 minutes to go, and this is second, third and fourth position in this race, headed by, as it has been all race, Michael Tanitsa. Maxime Batifollier will have, we said it in race 1, about learning what you're learning from your rivals, learning where you're stronger, where you're weaker, where you should attack and where you should defend. Learning's great, now it's time to execute some of that knowledge. And Brendan, the fourth person in this chain, Joni Silva, we're looking at now, he's got a grandstand seat. Some real drama, hasn't he?
Yeah, do you know what I would do in this moment? What he's doing at the moment, back off a little bit, because then you allow the front 2 to fight and it could let you slip through. While you're pressuring super hard P3, it sort of forces everyone to be a bit tight, and you don't want to go for the move on P2 anymore because you might lose out. But what might happen now, because he's given a bit of breathing room, P3 might have a bit of contact with Tanitsa and it might let him through both of them.
It's a great bit of insight into the racing psyche when you're trying to find an advantage in such a tight field. And again, you've competed and won at the very highest level of esport competition. Can you share with the viewers just a little idea of exactly how on edge these cars and drivers are, and what a show of skill? It's not been the most dramatic fight in terms of swapping paint, but the level of talent on show at the front of this grid has been quite sensational, hasn't it?
One little mistake, even if you lose 2% of your driving capacity or ability, you will spin the car. If you're watching the car closely, it's dancing through the apexes on the limit of adhesion for the tyres. And if you're any bit less skilled, like I say, you will spin the car. If you try to jump in a simulator, being a novice, let's say, you're always going to be about 5-6 seconds lap off the pace, and it's so difficult. And I can't even begin to explain the technique, the finesse. Your brain is doing millions and millions of calculations per second. Is the tyre gripping? Is the brake blocking? Is the brake overheating? Am I going to stop for the apex? He does stop for the apex. Is he going to get the next apex? And the brain is doing all these wonderful calculations. It's actually up on his delta, so his brain is doing more calculations than normal. But yes, it's super difficult.
Fantastic stuff, and one man that's made things look very not difficult indeed is this man, Arnaud Lecombe. He came, he saw, he conquered during the qualification knockout phase of the series. He's been making noises about how confident he feels going into the start of this championship series here at the Nürburgring. He put the car on pole position. That's the first job that was asked of him, delivered with aplomb. He got the start he needed, he kept clear of the chasing pack, and he has just walked away from everyone. Arnaud Lecombe, what a performance. Only a few corners left to go, Brendan.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And like Isaac did, making his stamp and making his marker in the first race, Lecombe is really sending a message out here. He had it a bit more his way. Isaac had to fight a bit more, whereas Lecombe has had a bit more free air behind him, let's say. But either way, we've got a few more races of this little championship to go before the grand finale. But I'm so excited to see this. It's going to be minimum 4 cars scrapping it out, become a Ferrari Esports driver.
Fantastic stuff. Absolute poetry in motion. The machine that is Arnaud Lecombe put it in pole position, took a race victory in dominant style. Arnaud Lecombe is the race winner of the opening race of the Ferrari Esports Series here in Group B. Just behind, 14.5 seconds to be precise behind, is Michael Tanitsa in second position. Maxime Batifollier in third position. Joni Catilia in P4. A lonely fifth position for Pagano. Miragalia P6. Slovenac in seventh just ahead of Altinel with Bolognese and Stramiglio in 9th and 10th position. Whew. Brendan, 2 races, 2 outstanding performances throughout the field.
Yeah, I'm worn out. I'm out of breath. But you know as well, I'm ready for the next round. I'm excited for it.
Yep, sensational stuff. There's our guest driver now, was coming through the final corner. A very robust 17th position for her, just ahead of Maurice Stryker, Ullman and Cavallari. Noj, after his drama earlier in the race, crosses the line in 21st position, and Davide Adami retires from the event, unfortunately not making it to the checkered flag. And Brendan, as always, an absolute pleasure to serve alongside you, sir, in what was been a fabulous race.
I've loved it. It's been a great conversation between us two. It's been a great race, and I'm ready and I'm excited to come back for the next race.
Thank you, Brendan. And now it is time, as always, to give away an awesome Ferrari prize. And today's prize is the beautiful Scuderia Ferrari Thrustmaster T-Racing headset. So, who will be our lucky winner? For the race 1 prize draw is Bart Jansen. Congratulations, Bart. Fantastic. A set of those beautiful headphones will be coming your way. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the race is over. Hand back to the studio.
Well, thank you very much, guys. And what an incredible opening round that was. Huge congratulations to our British driver, Isaac Price, and Arnaud Lecombe. Wow. I mean, he is just in a class of his own, unstoppable. But overall, these drivers never fail to put on an incredible show in the Ferrari Esports series. And hopefully everyone at home has also enjoyed it as much as we have done here in the studio. What a start, and I think a very fitting opening to what should be a rather intense series of races this year. Now, in the meantime, don't forget, everyone at home, you can keep up to date with all the action and happenings from the world of Ferrari Esports by following us on social, all the usual channels, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Check us out, Ferrari Esports. And this is your reminder to join us for the next race. We are heading to the Temple of Speed. Oh yes, we will see you in Monza. Thanks so much to everyone, and goodbye from us.